Work. All right. So welcome to our Monday night Zoom training call. It is November 30th, so our last team training of November. What? That's just crazy. So last day to make Success Club for the month. Last day to get your points in for the Fall Classic. In case you guys have been hiding under a rock, Hammer and Chisel drops tomorrow, so that's huge. I hope you guys are taking advantage of talking to people, getting the word, the excitement out there to all your people on your social media, your customers, your previous challengers. That program's going to be huge, and I think it's going to appeal to a lot of different people out there because I was reading in the back office today. And I mean, there's modifier just like in 21 Day Fix. So I would think that if you have some previous experience lifting or have had like that existing strength training program in place right now, that it's definitely a doable program that you can target to people that are doing those kinds of things already. Now, like I was telling Brianna earlier today, if you're talking to somebody who's just getting into fitness, getting their toes wet, it wouldn't probably be a program I would recommend right off the bat to them. Definitely be asking those questions, getting to know where they're at, get a feel for what their goals are, if they have any, limitations or restrictions in their fitness that would, limit them from being able to do a program like that, because it is going to be more intense, I'm sure. So that being said, I'll get into our training for tonight. I didn't do a PowerPoint or nothing, so you just got to look at my mug on camera and listen to me talk. But I want you guys to take notes because this is a really important topic that really impacts our business on so many levels. So tonight I'm going to talk about creating and owning your brand. Now this is so crucial in your business because we primarily as Beachbody coaches build our business on social media, and we really have to brand who we are to make us stand out from all those other coaches out there. That being said, Beachbody, they already market all the programs and products. We don't have to do that. They have the infomercials, they have the stuff online, all that for their programs and products. We don't have to do that. But what we do have to do is we have to market who we are and who we are using those products, and be sure that we're sharing that with people, because that's what gets exposure and attracts people to you. So you're not constantly having to go search out like the perfect challenger, the perfect coach. You're going to attract people to you. Now, when you're a new coach, yes, you're going to be initially looking for like your ideal challengers and coaches, but as you grow in your business, as you grow in your brand, and you start to be consistent, then naturally people are going to want to be checking you out and starting to follow you. So you don't have to put forth as much work as you do like in the first 6 months to a year of your business. So that will change. And so, like you guys have seen, obviously Beachbody has a ton of different programs and products, and they're marketed to all different kinds of people. So keep that in mind, that you don't have to market the products. You need to market yourself using them. And what may, be attractive to some person, like a certain program or product, may not be attractive to somebody else. Somebody who really hates yoga and stuff like that, they're probably not going to like PiYo. But maybe they're really into weightlifting, so maybe P90X would be a good fit for them. Okay, so developing your brand. So what appeals to people? What makes people tick? I want you guys to start like getting your brain engines going and thinking about all this stuff that I'm going to talk about tonight, because it's really different for everybody. And that's the great thing about coaching, is you get to make your brand about what you want it to be and what you love. So don't feel like, I know we have a lot of other coaches in our news feed, and you're probably following a lot of the other top coaches, and it gets confusing because you think, well, maybe I should be posting about that because that's what Lindsay Matway posts about, or maybe I should be branding myself this way because this is how Janelle Summers does it. So I want you guys, what I'm going to do is give you tips to really kind of hone in on who you are, what your brand is, and what you can offer to other people out there, okay? So one of the things as a new coach is, and you've probably heard me say this before, but it's so important if you aren't doing it, is come up with 5 things that speak to you that you're really passionate about. So for example, it could be food, fitness, maybe you're a military spouse, it could be animals, it could be nature, it could be fashion. But I want you to come up with 5 things and write that down. Keep it somewhere like in your planner where you're going to see it every single day, so you can refer to it as you are crafting your posts day in and day out. They're all, this way it's more specific and you're not going to be all over the board, and people are really going to get to know who you are and what your brand is all about. Okay. And it's really important to know what your passions are and that you keep developing those as well. It's an ongoing journey. Now with that, with your 5 things, you need to, and I talked about this, I think it was last week or the week before on our training, about reevaluating your brand. So I want you to go to your social media. I want you to go to your Facebook, your Instagram, you know, wherever you got your social media accounts. And what are the first things you see when you look at your page? And why I want you to do that is because as you grow your network and you meet new people, that's the first thing those people are going to see when they go to your page. They're constantly going to automatically judge you when they add you as a friend. And so you want to make sure that you're putting your best foot forward in the best light possible on your page. That's why I want you guys to really go back and reevaluate, look at your social media. How are you presenting yourself? Like, do you have a ton of shares, for instance, on your page, and like little about who you are, or pictures about you, or anything of your 5 passions that I talked about showing on your page? Because that is going to really confuse people. They're not going to know really who you are, what you have to offer. It's okay to share things. Like there's good content out there that you can share, but don't like have your whole feed on your profile filled up with that. Like, it's okay to share something, and you can even go back and share it and then click, there's a little like chevron down arrow thing where you can hide it from your timeline like the next day. So I recommend doing that like on a weekly basis till you get really comfortable with who you are and your brand, and you're consistently working on those 5 passions, putting that out there to people on your social media. So really think about, like, how do I look to the rest of the world? How am I portraying myself and my brand and my business? Now, along with that, you definitely want to be showing your strengths. And that doesn't mean that you need to work on your weaknesses all the time, but we all have our own strengths. So, for instance, I'm just going to put an example out there. Something that I feel is one of my strengths and that I get asked a lot of questions about is food. I'm a big foodie, and I am kind of known for that because I've kind of branded myself that way. So I try to make sure that I'm sharing, you know, recipes or tricks and tips of, you know, cutting time down on meal prep or something with people. Like, that's part of my brand. So I want you to think about, what are your strengths? It doesn't have to be necessarily health and fitness related. There might be like 1 thing or 2 things that are, but maybe you have, like Brianna, I think I love her homeschool posts that she shares of her daughter, like these different cool interaction things that she has her daughter do, and she shares it. And that's really key with her brand, because she's going to speak to a lot of other women who are stay-at-home moms or other moms who maybe homeschool. She's going to connect with people that way. Carla, with you, your personal defense and all that background that you have, that's a huge strength that you need to be consistently capitalizing on, okay? And Christina, your motivation and inspiration is huge, so that's something that I personally would recommend you don't take away. Like, stay consistent each day, posting something along those lines. So that was just a little quick feedback that I had on that. Okay, so there's a lot of things that you guys are good at. So focus on those things and share those things with people every day. With that, you can definitely be sharing that you are an expert at certain things. Now, I'm not saying that you need to say, well, I have this credential or this degree or this background to be an expert. You can still be an expert at certain things. So for instance, like my food, my cooking, my clean eating, I've personally read books, done research, found what works for me, what doesn't work for me. And in a way, I've become an expert in that area, and that's how I present it to people. So you can do the same with your strengths and present it as you are the expert. It not only builds credibility in your business, but it gains people's trust that you are offering them something of value and that you are that go-to person. Now, with your strengths, you have weaknesses, right? So your weaknesses, here's a tip. Use that to your advantage by asking people for help or advice. So that's easy content you can come up with. So for example, I like home decor stuff, right? I'm not the best home decorator though. So I can come up with a post to ask people advice. You know, hey, I'm looking for something for, I don't know, maybe the nursery we've been working on, a certain piece of furniture or something. I could craft a post asking people for advice, and I have friends on my Facebook who are home decorators who I know are going to be able to give me advice. So think about that when you're working, thinking about your weaknesses, that there's still potential there to create content and brand yourself in an area that you're not so strong in. So think of it, you know, it's a good opportunity to be able to interact with other people on your Facebook that you normally wouldn't too. Okay, so targeting your audience. It's really hard to know who your audience is. And you want to know who it is that you're going to attract in your business as challengers, as coaches, who. So I've done a training on this as well, and you're more than welcome to go back. I think it was on like creating your ideal coach or avatar or something along those lines. But what I want you to do is really think about and craft who your ideal coach and challenger is and be very specific. So when you're drafting your posts and putting your content out there and making your brand, you don't want to be trying to shout it out to everybody out there, okay? Because you're just going to be white noise. You want to be very specific. So I want you to think about, you know, age range, sex, where they live. Do they have kids? Do they work? What's their lifestyle? Do they, you know, are they a college student? Do they have a master's degree? And really hone in and tailor your content to that specific niche. A lot of times they're going to be somebody just like you, but if that kind of gets I don't know, mudded in your mind when you are trying to be specific who your target audience is, then think about like maybe a best friend or somebody who you really inspired or have impacted in their life. Use them as that avatar when you're talking on your social media. So you want to think about like, who's that person that I want to inspire? A tip is go back to when you first started as a coach or a challenger. Like, what were the things you were struggling with? What were the things that spoke to you when you connected with your coach or your team? So think about those things when crafting your target audience. So next with that, I want to go into marketing your brand. So how do you let people know and get this like all out to the world? Okay, I want you to write this down. This is a great quote that was said at Summit this year that I got from a training, and it says, you want to blow people's minds with value, but ease their mind with relatability. Blow people's minds with value, but ease their mind with relatability. So what I mean by that, try to share things of value on your social media, like recipes, things that have saved you time, life hacks, alternatives to desserts. You know, most of us love sweets. Like maybe you've come up with something that's clean eating and healthy as opposed to like a double chocolate chip cookie. Share that with people. That's free value, right? But with that, the other side of the coin is you still want to be human. You still want to show that you struggle. So don't feel like you have to constantly be posting all this amazing clean eating recipes. Like if you have a day where you cave and you have half a pizza with your family, share that, because that's a real struggle, you know? So be human, be relatable, but still provide value. Talk about, you know, sharing your struggles. Talk about what some of your bad habits were, whether they're now or in your past. There's a lot of people out there who have those exact same habits and struggles. So make sure that you're sharing those struggles that you've been through. And the thing with that is make sure you're being consistent when you're sharing that. Because what doesn't hit somebody today in their, you know, on their Facebook, it might hit them tomorrow. You guys know that every day is different, right? There's some days that you might talk to somebody and they're not ready to join a challenge group, and then a month later you talk to them and they're like, okay, I'm ready to do this, I'm ready to make a change, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, right? Every day is different. So you have to be consistent in sharing those struggles, okay? Also be sure to share the emotional stuff. And I know this is scary. It's unveiling to who you are, you know. It's a vulnerable feeling to put yourself out there. I get it, because I've felt that. But you have to be doing it, because what it does is it's going to hit home with a lot of other women out there. And once you do it and you get over that scare factor, you really do feel so good after doing it, and then the feedback you get is just amazing. So don't be afraid to put yourself out there and share those struggles, share those vulnerabilities with people. Okay, photos and pics, they must be eye-catching. Okay, it's part of your brand. It's who you are. You can still like post good photos and catch people's eyes. They don't have to be totally staged. I know a lot of coaches who do staged photos. I've staged photos. They don't have to be professional, but you just want basically a couple key things, okay? You want a good angle on your photo, and you want good lighting. So find a good window, a picture window, when you take a picture of yourself, a selfie, or whatever picture you're doing. So it's not like you need to hire some big photographer and get all these professional photos, but just make it look nice, you know. I know you guys can do that. But why you want to do that is because when people are scrolling that news feed, it's got to stand out. Like they've got to want to stop that scroll and see what the heck is Carla doing. Like, oh, that's a really cool picture. Or, you know, you want it to be eye-catching. And then the way you take your photos, that is part of your brand. whether it's the colors, the filters you use. I know there's one coach, Chelsea Pearson. She's awesome at marketing her brand and is very specific. And whenever I see a picture in my news feed, I know it's her picture because it's got like that certain filter that she uses on all her pictures, or the certain colored text or font or whatever. So know that your pictures are a part of your brand when you're sharing that on your social media. Okay, personal development. Now, I know I talk about this a lot, and there's a reason why. It's crucial for developing your brand. You need to be investing in your personal development and your social media training for your brand. None of us were born network marketers. None of us were born to like know everything there is about social media, but we can all learn this. You know, Google's your friend, right? YouTube's your friend. But with personal development, I want you to think of it as like your workout programs. Okay, so not every workout program is the right fit for you, right? You had to find the right workout program that really intrigued you, that made you stick to it, get excited to get up early in the morning when you're not a morning person and put your shoes on and do it, right? So personal development is the same way, because there's so much out there, and there's all different professional people out there that we can learn from, but not all of it's going to work for you or appeal to you. So I want you to find the right fit when it comes to personal development and find what works for you. For example, I had been eyeing the Smart Success Academy for like, I don't know, 3 years. Now that's a special training that Chalene Johnson does, and it's pretty expensive. It's an investment. But I had been eyeing it. Like I don't know, it's just something about it was calling my name. I knew what it was, and it was something I felt I could really benefit from. And I finally took the leap, saved the money from my business, and reinvested that in myself and in my business. And it was awesome, totally life-changing. Also, her book, Push, was right up there with it. Much cheaper investment buying the book as opposed to the Smart Success Academy. But nonetheless, it still made that same impact in my life. So take the time and the money to invest in those kinds of things. Find what speaks to you, and what's going to really keep you in this business when the going gets tough, because it does for all of us. Okay, so I just want to go over a quick recap of what I covered with you guys. So number 1, know what you're about. Those are the 5 things that you're passionate about. Write them down. This business can make it about what you love. So reevaluate those things. Reevaluate how you're portraying yourself on your Facebook. And make sure you're being specific. Know your strengths and roll with them. And your weaknesses, ask for help. Number 2, targeting your audience. So I'm talking, who's your tribe, right? You've probably heard that if you follow Chalene Johnson's podcast. She has a whole podcast on that. So who's your tribe? Who's your ideal coach, challenger, customer? Be specific. Write it down. You hear me say that over and over again. Write it down. If you don't write it down, it ain't going to happen, right? So you need to create that visual, that action item. Number 3, marketing your brand. It's where I talked about blowing their mind with value, but ease their mind with relatability. You got to be human. You got to be relatable. Show those struggles. Show those vulnerabilities. Put yourself out there. Number 4, take original and eye-catching photographs. And if you guys don't know how to do that, you can learn. Okay, there's webinars out there. You can look on Pinterest boards for inspiration or help. That's one way that I started to learn how to do better posts and pictures on my social media, was looking at what was working and what personally I would stop and, like mid scroll, be like, holy cow, that's a really cool picture. And then use that as inspiration when you're drafting your own. And number 5, invest in your personal development and your social media training. Okay, so in closing with this, and I will have some action items for you guys here at the end, I do want to say you have to be patient, okay, with this business. I know it's really frustrating when you're not seeing results in the direct relation and with how much work you're putting into this business, especially like in your first year. But it really does take time to develop your brand. That's why I say consistency is so important, right? So if you aren't being consistent with these things, it's going to take you a heck of a lot longer time to build that brand, build that exposure, start to attract people to you so you're not spending so much time looking for people. Okay? Think about like some of those big brands out there like Apple and Starbucks. It didn't happen overnight for them. It took a long time to establish their credible brands. I mean, now you can't even drive like a block down the road and there's a stinking Starbucks on every corner, it seems like, right? So the same goes for you and your business. So you have to be patient. Even Beachbody, look at the company that we work with. I don't know if you guys have gone back and looked at some of the really early programs that Beachbody's come out with. Now they're good, they're solid workout programs, but they've definitely come a long ways and improved quite a bit. So,
yeah, compare rock and body to size. Oh my God.
Right, yeah. Or what was Tony's first one that he had? Was it Power 90?
Power 90, I think, yeah.
Yeah. And they were great programs, but, Beachbody's had to evolve into the brand they are and evolve their programs and products too. So, we're the same way as coaches with our own brand. So definitely have integrity with your brand and be proud of what you have to offer as a person, as a coach. Embrace all of that, all your struggles, all those things that you think like, well, I'm not like her, I'm not good enough, I have had to overcome this. That makes you and your brand. Those are things that really are of value to people out there, because there's other people just like that out there. You just have to start putting yourself out there and attracting that to you. If you don't do it, it's not going to happen. And really just be transparent. That makes you relatable. And that's something that I've had to work on. I've had to go back and look at my Facebook, reevaluate what am I putting out there. And I realized I wasn't showing a whole lot of who I really was. And it was because I was afraid. I was afraid of what people would think, or, what if somebody posts a nasty comment or somebody judges me this way. I had to get over all of that. And it's taken time and patience. But if I can do that, you guys can do the same thing. So I have a few call to action items for you guys tonight. The first thing isn't really, it's just kind of something I want you to think about. So I want you guys to set a goal for yourself in regards to personal development or social media training. So it could be anything from like, okay, I'm going to hit Success Club 2 months in a row. And when you hit that goal, I want you to reinvest in your personal development or social media training if you hit that goal. Okay, so it could be getting a book or audio off Amazon. It could be finally signing up for some training you've really had your eye on that you think you could benefit from. Okay. So here's my call to action items. Number 1, write down your ideal customer, your audience, who you're speaking to, and create a visual. Now you can relate this back to that training I mentioned about the building your avatar that I did. I talked specifically about that. I even show you one of my visuals, my avatar that I created, and I have that saved on my computer, and I refer to that whenever I'm crafting a post or maybe struggling with how to, content to come up with. It really helps me remember who I'm talking to, who my target audience is. And with that, what would you have said to yourself when you were first starting this business? What would you have said to yourself when you were first starting this business? So think about that when you're crafting your post. Talk to that person. Okay, number 2 action item. What is one struggle that you could honestly share with other people to make you relatable? Write it down and then share it on your social media. But when you do that, make sure that you end that with an uplifting, on an uplifting note. It would be great if you intertwine Beachbody. How did Beachbody bring you to that point, overcome that struggle? Whether it was from all the personal development that we do, or maybe it's your workouts, have helped you overcome depression or anxiety. So tie that in, end it on an uplifting note. Because in this business, you question everything within yourself. I know I do. I still do. So you really have to be your own advocate when it comes to your business struggles. And I don't want you to think just because you're a new coach or you're still struggling to start your business or whatever, that those feelings, those negative self-talks that come into your mind aren't the same that one of the top coaches is still feeling. We all feel that way. We all have those negative self-talks. Okay? All right, so number 3, last call to action. Scroll through your social media. So I'm talking your Instagram account, your Facebook page, whatever. What do you see? What story are you sharing with people? And then clean it up. If it isn't the brand or the picture that you're wanting to portray to people, right? Those 5 passions that we talked about, clean it up because your face is your brand. So if I went to your Facebook and I don't really see much of who you are or your 5 passions, start changing things. Start changing it tomorrow. Don't be afraid of selfies. I know it's so cliche taboo, but you have to, because you are your brand. People want to see your face. They do. Okay, so don't be afraid of selfies. Be creative with them, whatever. All right. Well, any questions? That's what I got for you.
I have a question. So a lot of your posts where you have pictures of you or food or whatever and they have the writing, are you using WordSwag or are you using PicMonkey? Are you doing it from your phone? Are you doing it on your desktop or your laptop on your desk?
I do most of mine through PicMonkey on my computer, but I do use Photofy, which is the Droid equivalent to WordSwag. So I know WordSwag is a really popular app on Apple or your iPhone or whatever. I'm not that cool. I still have Droid. So, but I know a lot of coaches who use WordSwag. So that's why I like it. And probably why I use PicMonkey more is because I'm on my laptop more when I am working or coming up with my posts and content. I like it because you don't have on Photofy, unless you pay the upgrade, you have the little watermark that says PhotoFi in the corner, and I think that detracts from a photograph. PicPlay Post is another one. I think unless you upgrade to remove the watermark, you'll always have that PicPlay Post in the corner, and I don't know, it just seems distracting. And when I'm putting text on a photo, I want it to be effective, and I don't want it to detract from my message, if that makes sense.
I have one more question. Well, maybe more, but one more at the moment. Are you still using MailChimp a lot, or are you kind of finding that people are moving away from the emails?
I use MailChimp. I try to send out a bi-monthly email to my customers. So I use MailChimp where I'm sending out the newsletter, designing it in MailChimp. I have ambitions of creating an opt-in page that will be connected to MailChimp. And I also enter all my new customers that I get into MailChimp, so I'm keeping that customer list, all those email contacts and everything. So I really like it. And I use the free version. I don't pay for the bigger version. I don't know what it maxes at for contacts where you have to upgrade. I'm not there yet, obviously, but yeah, I like it. What's the other one that a lot of coaches use? Constant Contact, I think, is the other like MailChimp equivalent that you could use. So yeah, but I don't, email-wise, I do the newsletters primarily right now. Opt-in pages to come when I have a little more time.
Is this time you're talking about coming before the baby, or?
Because you get a ton more time right after you have
right. I think you're going to be freed up like crazy.
I have plans. I don't know what it's going to be like, to be honest. So I'm going to be home. I know that. I'm going to be on maternity leave for like 8 weeks at least. So I do have intentions of working my business full time as best I can with a newborn. But I haven't been there yet, so I don't know what to expect. I know I'm probably not going to get much sleep. Good questions, though. Any other questions?
Okay, I have one more. Since I'm in the car all the time and I use my audio, I have found no way to get audiobooks or download them without paying for them. Is there a way? Because I'm now being charged $14.95 a month for the audio app to play the books. So I can create credit and bonuses by more that I buy, which is nice. But is there any way around that? Because everything I Google, basically it's Audible, which is what I'm using, and it's $14.95 a month. But you get a free book a month plus credit. So I don't know if you've found that anywhere.
I haven't. You might message Missy Gleason on our team. I know she does a lot of the audio personal development stuff, and I think she is Audible through Amazon. Okay, yeah, I think that's what she uses. So she probably would be a good source to let you know if there is even that possibility of like more free content out there that you can put through Audible. So I honestly don't know, because I do just my podcasts, and then I do the old lady read a book version of personal development. And that's what works for me. But I haven't personally heard of any, but I'd hit up Missy. She'd be able to. She's the one in the know for that for sure. Anybody else? All right. Well, we'll call it a night. I posted a post in our success group this morning, so to kind of round up Saturday through Monday. If you guys want to check in, hit like, let me know you're still alive in that group.
If it matters at all, I read everything.
It does. Makes me feel better. All right. Well, I'll get the recording up for you guys too on this. So if you need to go back and watch it or share with your coaches, I know Daniela didn't make it on. So Christina, maybe you can make sure that she gets that, and Kim too. I'm sure they probably want to see this. So that's all I got. Well, you guys have a wonderful evening. I'll see you all next Monday. All right.
Awesome. Thank you.
You betcha. Good night.